Yes, Willow from Raleigh. Can the keto diet really help or even reverse diabetes? Yes.
Yes, it can.
Yes. So so here's the way. Here's just understanding. We give this speech a lot, so it's no big deal. The glucose. All right. Glucose gets too high, you've got diabetes, right? So, Michelle, do you need a lot of glucose to run the body?
No.
You don't need much, do you?
No.
Right. So imagine that. I always say that in a pre-diabetic, the average glucose that's in the bloodstream to make that diet is only 5 grams, which is just a few grains of sugar, for example. Now imagine you're rocking the cake and all that. How many grams of sugar's in all that? Woo! Goes through the roof, right?
Yeah.
You do this enough, your body loses the ability to be able to handle all of that stuff. And now you've got a situation where the glucose is running wild. You got all this extra insulin that's hanging around in the bloodstream. It's not working. The body's become resistant to all these things. It's caused all this damage, right? So you look at diabetics, they got all kind of damage, both macro and microvascular. So their toes start rotting off. They get retinopathy. They get renal failure. All these very, very bad things. A vascular disease. Glucose is toxic, right?
Yeah.
A small amount's normal. Anything over that, it's toxic. It's a toxic substance, and you have to be very, very careful, right? So what we're teaching people to do is to get out of your diet the things that raise your glucose, right?
Yes.
And when you cut those out of your diet and you start eating proteins, fats, and vegetables, which don't raise your glucose, what happens to your blood glucose, Michelle?
Right down.
Woo! And over time, your hemoglobin A1C comes down into these ranges that aren't considered diabetic anymore.
Yep.
Okay. Type 2 diabetes or adult onset diabetes is a disease of excess carbohydrate in all of its forms.
Yes.
Sugar, flours, rice, and potatoes. That's what it is. And your body's telling you, I'm intolerant to that. Quit doing it to me.
I can't handle it.
Right. Okay. Our ancestors did not eat this way. They ate animals, what came from animals, what they could grow. They were physically active. So they didn't get adult onset diabetes for the most part. This is a thing of modern times, and is accompanied closely the introduction of refined sugar and refined grains into the human diet, right? And everywhere you introduce that, guess what happens? People get overweight from the hyperinsulinemia and they get diabetes. And so some people call it diabesity as a result, right? Okay, it all goes together. And we're proposing that, hey, this is very common. And the answer, the way out, is to get back to the diet that kept us away from here, okay, which is to not raise our blood sugar all the time. It's not a game of calorie counting and all this stuff, okay? It is a game of eating the right kinds of foods, again, the stuff our ancestors ate, proteins, fats, vegetables, right? And so, yeah, this is how you deal with type 2 diabetes. Now, I will say, you and I don't tell people, hey, let's exercise to lose weight, right? We don't tell them that. But this is one case where exercise really works to help regulate blood sugar and insulin levels. It does help there. This is a real health benefit. So in addition to this sort of diet, okay, regular exercise makes a difference. And it doesn't have to be really intense exercise. Our ancestors never joined a YMCA and said, oh, we're going to go down for 30 minutes or 45 minutes in the morning and get on something and, or take some class. No, they just walked everywhere, right? They were physically active people. And your body is adapted. Your cells are adapted to this. You return to that. You're returning to the original formula. Animals, what comes from animals? What you grow in gardens, and you're walking. And guess what happens? Boom.
Everything gets better.
That's right. If you're on all these medicines for diabetes, guess what happens there? You have to come off of them. That's right.
And that happens in our practice all the time.
That's right.
So this is not that unique, Willow, where we see individuals come in who are affected by diabetes and their hemoglobin A1C, which is like a 3-month marker, and their fasting blood sugar are both elevated. And after 3-6 months, sometimes it takes a little longer, 12 months, it will be way back down into the normal range. And we can say, congratulations, you've put your diabetes into remission. It's gone.